Behind every door lies another dimensional world. To expand resources, the government sent an exploration team to investigate these alternate realms. They tied themselves together with safety ropes, so if something went wrong, they could be pulled back in time. This world was completely different from Earth. The temperature exceeded 60 degrees Celsius, though gravity was about the same. Suddenly, the grass around them began to rustle, and countless unknown creatures crawled toward them before they could even see what they were. The team was violently attacked. The small creatures looked cute and harmless, but their bite force was terrifying. They specialized in group assaults. The team was quickly overwhelmed and knocked to the ground. Just as they were about to be dragged away, Amy shouted for the people on the other side to pull the safety ropes, but one of the creatures grabbed a sharp piece of glass and cut through the rope, then used the chance to close the dimensional gate the members left in. The other world were now like lambs waiting for slaughter. In the chaos, Amy remembered her handgun. These creatures, though fierce, could be blasted apart with a single shot. Fighting one alone was easy, but against a swarm, it was nearly impossible. One teammate's helmet was shattered, his face torn to shreds by bites. The crucial moment, those inside managed to reopen the gate. The captain and Amy dragged the wounded comrade back into the human world. Others rushed to help, slamming the gate shut while killing the few creatures that slipped through. After Peacemaker, Chris was arrested and imprisoned. Many of his friends wanted to visit him, but he refused them all. This made the guards curious. Since few inmates ever reject visitors, Chris simply said he was a cursed angel of death, bringing misfortune to anyone close to him. Because Chris handed over the dimensional transporter, Amy and Nick regained their positions, and Flag gained the chance to explore the multiverse. He quickly assembled a Task Force X team to inspect all dimensional gates, hoping to find what he truly desired. But he didn't expect that not every world beyond those doors was safe. When one agent opened a gate, the team was stunned. They found a realm filled with candy-like plants and breathable air, much like Earth. At first, it seemed harmless until chaos erupted, just like in the opening scene. Watching their comrade being torn apart, the team began questioning the mission itself. Adam, he's dead. Adam's dead. His face, it's been eaten by some dreamlike thing. Where the hell did you send us? Despite protests, Flag refused to stop. No one knew exactly what he was searching for, but his obsession planted the seeds of future disaster. Ick believed the mission was meant to prevent another Metropolis Rift incident, but now he feared they might be the ones creating a new world-ending dimensional fracture. Amy tried to comfort him, saying the higher-ups just wanted to find an uninhabited world with food and water to sustain Earth. But things were not as simple as she thought. Ollie went to find Ed, hoping he could use his piles of hidden cash to help rescue Chris. Ed refused, saying that money was tainted and would curse his descendants. He'd rather break Chris out of prison himself than touch a single dirty coin. Under Ollie's persuasion, Ed finally agreed to use the hidden money to rescue Chris. Before long, Chris was successfully bailed out of prison, but to everyone's shock, after Chris visited Ike's house and disappeared into the shadows, he vanished from the face of the earth. And no matter how hard they searched, they couldn't find a trace of him. Everyone began blaming Ike for not keeping Chris from leaving. Ollie wanted to use the tracker chip implanted in Chris to locate him, but since their last mission had been terminated, the authority to access the tracking system had been revoked by ARGUS, organization. Since Chris couldn't be found for the time being, Amy decided to return to her job. She and her colleagues resumed exploring parallel universes. However, as their missions went on, danger after danger began to emerge. Many agents were killed one after another. Despite the heavy casualties, Flag refused to stop. Each new report he received only made him more excited, and his obsession led to even more deaths. Looking at their fallen comrades and the ugly faces of the upper brass, Amy and the others started realizing that ARGUS was no longer a force of justice, but as long as they remained in the organization, they had no choice but to obey orders. Then, one day, Amy's team discovered a parallel Earth, a world almost identical to their own, with all environmental indicators perfectly matching Flag's requirements. When Flag saw Amy's report, he became ecstatic. Ignoring her questions, he immediately requested a meeting with the Minister of Security to explain his true purpose. Flag named the new world Bold Belonging. He proposed turning it into a cosmic prison, a place to exile the most dangerous superpowered criminals. That way, there would be no need, like Lex Luthor once did, to create an artificial pocket dimension for containment. Since the portals could directly link the two worlds, this plan would both prevent attacks and make escape impossible. It turned out this was Flag's real plan all along. He explained it so convincingly that the Minister of Security approved it immediately. When Bull learned the truth, he was furious, realizing that Flag had betrayed ARGUS's original mission. Disturbed by this, he went to Amy and revealed the prison dimension plan, hoping she could give him some advice. But Amy, shocked by the news, didn't know what to do either. So the two of them turned to the resourceful Ollie, hoping he could help them find a solution. After talking late into the night, the three finally came up with a perfect plan. That night, Amy looked at the concert ticket Chris had once given her. It stirred deep memories. She still missed him deeply. Meanwhile, Chris sat alone outside a small motel, replaying memories of his time with AMY. It was clear he still couldn't let her go. The next morning, Amy, Bull, and Ollie arrived at the base. To avoid suspicion, they pretended to work as usual to draw others' attention away, while secretly beginning to track Chris's location. Unfortunately, Ike, who wasn't good at talking, nearly gave away their plan when his awkward jokes almost made the others realize something was off. Fortunately, Bull managed to locate Chris, and the group immediately drove to his location. Before he could leave, they successfully blocked him at the doorway. Everyone returned to the house. Amy asked Chris why he had been hiding from everyone, but he gave an unexpected answer. We all learned that there's magic. Chris had been afraid afraid that he would bring harm to those around him. That's why he disappeared without saying goodbye. But after Ollie's angry questioning and the other's heartfelt words, Chris finally gathered his courage to face his true self. He decided to return to his friends and continue fighting for justice alongside them before leaving. However, he once again asked Amy that question. That night on the boat, did what happened between them mean anything to her? I'm going back on the boat, Maria. I'm not asking you for anything, he said quietly. I just want to know what it meant. Of course it meant something, you idiot, Amy replied firmly. Her answer left Chris stunned for a moment. Then, overjoyed like a kid in his 30s, he couldn't stop smiling. Later, everyone gathered at Ed's house, cheerfully packing up piles of cash. It turned out Ollie and the others had already planned everything. They would use the money to start a new organization of their own, one that would carry on the ideals of the Peacemaker. Amy and her teammates resigned from Sky Eye, the agency, and even Flo and Gale decided to join them. The new organization, Final Strike, Make the World Better, was officially born. Everything seemed to be turning for the better until one night when Chris returned home from work, a group of agents suddenly burst in. They overpowered him, threw him roughly into a van, and cuffed his hands and feet. When the hood over his head was finally pulled off, Chris saw the smug face of Flag staring at him with a cold grin. Flag ordered his men to throw Chris through a portal. Before Chris could even speak, Flag told him, before transferring all the superpowered prisoners here, I need to make sure this place is safe for humans. You, Peacemaker, are the perfect test subject. It was obvious. This was personal revenge. Realizing the danger, Chris tried to run toward the portal, but it was too late. Flag smiled triumphantly as Chris stood back up, staring at the endless wasteland around him. He knew then he was completely on his own. But when a terrifying roar echoed from the distance, Chris suddenly realized this world was far from safe.